Well, did it again. Okay. Thank you, Peter. There's a lot of technology we've added, and I'm just getting used to it. So, thank you very much for joining us today. And if it weren't for Peter, I'd probably be rambling on with nobody could hear me forever. So, appreciate that. I did figure out we troubleshot the other problem, and I did figure that out. And so, hopefully, we won't have a repeat of that. We just got this out of the way early in the process. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us today. You noticed a few minutes ago we played the promo for the upcoming uh, boot camp, April 27th, Saturday morning for 3 hours. We have two great speakers lined up. Ron Thomas, who's an extraordinary human resource consultant from Dubai, who's been in some major roles in the U.S., has a great story to tell, but he has been very, very successful in wanting to always be an expat, to work overseas, and he will talk a little bit about how he built up his business overseas. And it's always joy to have Ron and to be with Ron. Our other guest will be T.D. Smyers. T.D. Smyers is a former naval captain, former Annapolis graduate from a little small town in Texas. He grew up in a double wide trailer house. And, people thought, well, okay, so much for this guy, just another farm kid. He graduated from Annapolis with a degree in physics, left the Navy as a captain, and really, really remarkable person. He has a consulting practice that helps people prepare for a transition into a new job. We do that too, but he's really an interesting person, and he will also be a guest on our program. We may have one other surprise announcement coming, but so far we've got a really good program We're lining it up now with interviewing, referencing, video production, all those interesting things that the tools you're going to need to manage your career going forward. Today, we're going to focus a little bit on a phenomena that, unfortunately, I think it's a little bit underhanded. You've heard of quiet quitting. You've heard of people just kind of going into neutral and not giving any more than they have to for their jobs. Well, now we have a new phenomenon called quiet firing. When I read this was featured in last Saturday morning's Wall Street Journal, and I've been thinking a lot about that this week because we are a country that we don't always treat our employees very well, and then we're shocked beyond belief that our employee engagement survey shows they're about 33%. So one of the reasons that you have this sort of pushback from employees is really a practice like this. So let's get into it. I'm a true believer that your most important asset in any business it's your employees. And yet we will throw money after capital equipment, and sometimes we treat the capital equipment better than we treat our employees because we have such a major investment in capital equipment. Well, your employee investment is a lot bigger, and when you treat them badly, whether they're coming in the door or going out the door, you really demean your company. You demean your company's reputation. It's an employment brand, and you demean yourself as a leader. So here is what I think is a scam. A lot of the white shoe consulting firms, including McKinsey, BCG, Deloitte, EY, and others, hired a lot of people to meet the demand during COVID. And it was the boom time for consulting companies. And right post-COVID, they were really, really busy and they started making a lot of money. But then very quickly, when we got back to business, things cooled dramatically. Now, a lot of people started hiring consultants to deal with AI and other issues, restructuring. How is our business going to look post-COVID? That business now has since cooled. And there are thousands of junior consultants at consulting companies across America who don't have enough to do. And it's not uncommon at McKinsey for junior consultants to go to their team leader and say, "Do you have any work for me?" And the answer is, "No, we don't." And so, that people are working on business development or they're doing other projects that they're being assigned internally. But that's not the gig they signed on for. And so Now we had some very, very public layoffs last year, a lot of bad press, and um, it's remarkable that that the that the way the companies are treating people is just remarkable. So now, after the publicity of people being laid off and the making the TV news, and the companies decided, hey, we didn't need any more of that, and so team leaders are now being pressured to give idle consultants who are idle through no fault of their own harsh reviews so they can clear the way to terminate them for cause. Okay, so when they're putting them on PIPs, performance improvement plans. That's the new quiet firing strategy. Why would they do that? Well, it's cheaper, and they clearly are demonstrating they don't give a rat's patut about the employees. They're just junior people, and the partners are more concerned with their income and their security. They give them harsh reviews, and then they kick them to the curb. McKinsey reportedly has a list today with over 3,000 names on it for the PIP. And these people, unless business turns around, will probably not be with the firm in 6 months. PR firms, they really want to reduce the PR exposure and the cost of layoffs versus termination. And companies have different policies about termination and versus layoffs. Sometimes when there's a layoff, there's some of the payments made, we always laughingly refer to them as guilt payments. But when they terminate you for cause, it's because you screwed up. Well, not really. They just happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. There's no evidence that the quality that they produced earlier in their careers suddenly diminished. It is simply a strategy to kick people to the curb. Now, it's really underhanded. You got to be honest with your employees. If you don't, why will people keep working for you? Well, in McKinsey's case and BCG's case and some other people, there's no evidence BCG is doing this particular strategy. McKinsey is. And, people say, oh my God, I'd love to work for McKinsey. It'll look so good on my resume. It will, provided they will not make a comment about why they fired you. If they say you're not eligible for rehire, if they say that in a reference, and some companies do and some companies don't, if they say it in a reference, all of that, all the hard work, long hours that you put into investing to benefit from the McKinsey name now becomes a huge liability. So the talent acquisition strategies, what these people are doing, it's not illegal, but I believe they're morally questionable. It's all about the money, the partner bonuses, trying to protect that deal, because the partners are the people who bring in the money, and those are the people at the core who they take care of. And I understand that. It's just the nature of consulting businesses. But the junior associates, they're vulnerable, and this could be a major emotional and strategic setback for them. I think it's the noble practice on focusing on money does not make supporting acts moral or acceptable. Okay, you can say, well, we got to take care of our partners, and we're in business to make money, and that's what business is all about, and it's just the nature of the game. Fine, you can still be upfront about it, be honest with the people, and if you fire them, then please, for God's sake, don't say they're not eligible for rehire. When most of what their performance failing was, they didn't have enough work. Okay. Herb Kelleher, pictured here on the right, he was embroiled to start Southwest Airlines. He was embroiled in a huge fight with American Airlines. There's another company that has a history of questionable practices dealing with not only their employers but their competitors. Herb Kelleher was absolutely the genius. Then the culture, he was the driving force in the culture behind Southwest. Here he is kissing the first 737 that was delivered to them from Boeing. Now, yes, the purpose of business is to make money, but we sometimes hide behind that unchallenged truth and say, well, it's okay to do these other things. At what cost? At the expense of the customers, at the expense of somebody else's, a ding in somebody's career. Making money is not important, it seems. It's how much money you make. And so if we have to slaughter a bunch of people and wreck some careers to be sure that we make more money, uh, then I guess it must be okay because that's what business is all about. Well, I think business is all about getting strategic decisions correct in the first place. And you hired a bunch of people because you saw a lot of business coming in and you didn't want any of your competitors to get it. So you beefed up in a hurry to be able to process all the business coming in. And now you've overhired. And instead of kind of eating some of this expense to develop these new people you hired, you just kick them to the curb. Um, I guess at the end of the day, the guys manipulating the levers on Wall Street, they don't really give a rat's patootie about customers unless it's the people that are investing in their funds or investing in the stocks that they're selling, the people who will buy the pig with lipstick. I guess that's the rule now. And I just think this is an incredible opportunity. If you're changing careers, if you want to be a leader, if you want to be, even if you just want to be a consultant, you're a leader of you. But this is a huge, huge career branding opportunity for you to step in the breach and say, I'm a leader who cares about people. I'm a leader who deals ethically with employees. I'm a leader who is transparent with communication. And I'm a leader that if we have to make hard choices, we do it with empathy and compassion. And we try to be as good to them going out of the door as we were to them when they came in the door. Now, there's Herb Kelleher was famous for this quote. He said, "Your employees come first. If you take care of your employees, they will take care of your customers, and your customers will take care of your investors." A lot of people say, that's just hokum. It's tough to make a living. It's you got to be tough. You got to make hard choices. You got to throw people under the bus sometimes. Okay, all these hard butt companies that tended to manage that way, especially in healthcare, have all fallen on hard times. Why? Because they got too greedy and they believed too much in we're so good at what we do that we can survive anything. Well, that's not the case. In Southwest Airlines instance, Herb Kelleher passed away. He retired and then passed away. And his successors thought they were smarter. To wit, Gary Kelly, a former CFO, was named president. And guess what? It shouldn't be any shock if I said that Kelly seemed to be more focused on the balance sheet and the profits than he was on the culture of the company. And it's not that Southwest Airlines wasn't profitable. They were one of the most profitable airlines consistently. They were the darling of Wall Street. But Kelleher did not. Kelleher was somebody who was able to balance growth, investment in technology, and still have an incredible relationship with his employees. Southwest Airlines now is just like any other airline. The special feeling that Herb Kelleher and his team built, it's almost gone. There's still some holdovers, some true believers, but for the most part, it's almost gone. In 2022, Southwest suffered one of the largest, most spectacular operational meltdowns in the history of airlines. They cancel more than 15,000 flights. Now, this can be attributed back to Gary Kelly, the former CFO, because he was so focused on that balance sheet that he did not invest in critical infrastructure, which led to the 2022 crash. The pilot scheduling system, and he had been told this for years and years and years, was out of date and was glitchy, and if it was ever put under big demand, would probably crash. Now, as the people kept wanting to grow Southwest and be bigger and bigger and bigger, you've got to have more robust systems. Give Keller his due. He invested in systems, but the airline was considerably smaller. So if you're going to make the decision that you've got to be bigger to survive, to be able to compete, then you also have to say, we're going to have to put money in infrastructure to be sure that we take care of our people. and our customers. On those 3 or 4 days where they were just absolutely the dumbest moron airline managers in the history of the universe during that period of time, they did more harm to their investors, their customers, and their employees. So there is a strong lesson here that, Gary Kelly got his bonus and he was sent out the door as a hero, but it doesn't take long for the retired hero to be a rotten skunk. He's the man who squandered Southwest Airlines culture. Now, one of the things I'm just astounded with, I've been tracking this number for 20 years, and employee engagement remains below 50%. Most of the time in this period, it's been below 40%. Now, this is always something that's just sort of, it's a no-brainer, but let me pose the question to you. Most companies pay their employees 100% of what they promised to pay. We value this job at $75,000 or $175,000, and so we're going to pay you $175,000 less taxes and benefits. But if the employee is only giving you 33% of engagement, 33% of commitment and passion, why are you accepting less passion, commitment, engagement for 100% and you get 33% in return? Most CEOs in this country seem to be content to accept that disparity. Why? Why? If you're moving into leadership, if you are looking to start your next leadership position, keep in mind that this is an opportunity for you to differentiate yourself from a lot of other leaders. A lot of people come in. I wish I had $100, or hell, I'd be happy for $20 for every CEO that came in and said, I'm a servant leader. And then you start asking them and digging down and peeling back the onion, and they really had no idea what the real origin of that term was and what it really meant. It was just another slogan that they used at work. But when they left work, they weren't servant leaders. That was just shtick for the employees. Well, let me tell you something. Employees, they can smell a phony a mile away. And so, what we want, if you're truly a servant leader, then you're a servant leader at home with your family. You're a servant leader on the athletic fields, coaching community athletics, youth sports. You're a leader in your church. You're a leader at your country club. You're a leader with your friends. You help your friends. You're in service to your friends. So that's what a servant leader is. It doesn't stop when you walk out the front door of your office. And yet people kind of use that. It's almost a throwaway line. So one of the things I think you really want to focus on is to really understand your values. We talk a lot about the value brand statement in our company and our coaching practice. Okay, if you don't have a value brand statement, you need to get one yesterday. If you're not satisfied with it, I'll help you do it. But it's essential for you to be able to advance your career, to succeed in interviews, to be a better leader for your employees, better manager for the employees, if you understand your value. And if you understand how to engage that value in your leadership style on a day in and day out basis, that is a brand differentiating opportunity. On Tuesday, we in our Lunch and Learn, we talked about all the myriad of little glitches that will allow you to build your brand. Engagement is one of those glitches. Nobody talks about it that much. Oh, well, every once in a while, having a big consulting practice that focuses on engagement becomes kind of popular and everybody talks about it and everybody presents papers and programs at their professional association meetings. But then nothing changes. In healthcare, we have terrible quality, terrible reliability. It's really possible and more possible for you to get an infection in a hospital than is walking on the street. We have questionable service. We have questionable consistent care. Why? Why do we accept that? We've poured millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to try to fix our quality numbers and improve our safety numbers, and we barely scratched the surface. Why is that? Well, my theory is this. And when it comes to your people, when it comes to taking care of the things that really matter, if you've got problems with quality, if you have problems with productivity, if you have problems with satisfaction, if you have problems with customer satisfaction, it's because as a leader, you're allowing behaviors in your organization to reinforce those things to make them possible. They didn't happen they didn't happen by some magical mistake. They happened because as a leader, you aren't focusing in on why it's happening and stopping those behaviors, disincentivizing those behaviors. So it's really, really important for a leader for you to take stock. I think you ought to be held accountable for your turnover rate. I think you ought to be held accountable for your engagement rate, your satisfaction, your customer satisfaction, your employee satisfaction. And I think that's part of being a leader. And so if you embrace that, that gives you a huge advantage in terms of being able to talk to a prospective employer about your philosophy. I think one of the other things that I really look at a lot and saw it for more than 27 years, excuse me, is that leaders tend to dodge accountability for inept recruiting. Okay. Now, if any of you guys, and most of you are in the job market, okay, you have been treated badly by recruiters, ghosted, poor communication. You were not told everything relevant for the job. You weren't really given honest information about inside candidates or anything else. I mean, it's just, there have been some just unbelievable, mind-blowing omissions from external recruiters and internal recruiters. They're not dealing with their potential employees in a way that would embrace engagement. So one of the reasons we consistently have a low engagement issue is that our recruiting processes are inept. Jerry Crisper, a big time expert in the digital world of recruiting, read a book about the science of management principles. And then he said in chapter 3, this book was, he said, chapter 3, he said, oh my God, this is what we're doing today. The book was written in 1911. In my years as a recruiter, I saw very little innovation. I saw the only changes were really built around technology. We went from telephones and Rolodexes and those our diaries that were so popular. Okay, we've gone from that to email. We went to fax, then we went to email, and we added cellular phones in there. But that's pretty much it. The way we screen candidates, the way we go about, we may use computers to help find candidates and use computers to get rid of some resumes, but we're still going through the same basic process. And even though we're now automated more than we've ever been before, it's still an incredibly slow process. Well, everybody's busy. What is more important than getting the right person on the bus in the right seat? Jack Welch said, not much. And when he finally embraced that, GE's performance significantly improved. I had a friend, Brett Barrett, who ran HCA's Medical City Hospital in Dallas. And Brett wrote a book called Patients Come Second. Now, that just drives a lot of people crazy, including nurses. But his point was the Herb Kelleher point. If you take care of your people, and now it also includes doctors because they are now more employed. If you take care of your people, they will take care of your patients. And the patients and the insurance companies and they're going to take care of your bottom line. The CFO in one of Barrett's presentations just was furious because he was talking so much about employee engagement. He said, don't you understand this is a business? And Britt said, I looked over and just nodded my head and said, yeah, I got this. That year, Medical City in Dallas was absolutely one of the most successful hospitals in the HCA family. And that's saying a lot. They were number one in safety, in quality, in satisfaction. One night, they had a major ice storm in Dallas. And that's in Dallas, people's idea of getting traction is to accelerate. And so you could imagine how many people would call off from work. I think more than 92% of the people scheduled to work that night showed up that night. Why? Because they were loyal to their organization. They were engaged because they had a CEO that cared about them. And Barrett says early in his career, when he was fresh out of school, he was married, starting a family, and he was working for a female CEO. That she's female is not really the key issue. She was very abusive, and there's more abusive males than there are females, just based on the numbers. But she would ridicule him, talk down to him, embarrass him in front of his colleagues. And he said, I would come home at night and I would sit in the car before we went in the house and just cry. That left an incredible impression on him, and that reshaped his ideas and values about how you treat the people that are your most valuable asset. The people who, if you really take care of, will take care of your customers and take care of your investors. Do you see a market opportunity? I think that there is a huge opportunity for, if as a leader, to be able to embrace that, refine your thinking. Don't just say, "Oh, I'm a servant leader." That's just garbage. Okay, wrap that around a great story, a great summary of your values and what they can expect from you if you are their next leader, the person they hire. I hope you'll join us for our career boot camp, April 27th. Tentative time is 9 a.m. to noon. Again, we have two great speakers and probably one other additional surprise for you. It's a great full day of full 3 hours of learning, and we hope that you'll sign up. It's free. It's no cost. Secondly, we hope that if you are involved in trying to enhance your career, become a better manager, become a better leader, to accelerate your career and to achieve your goals, we hope you'll join our career community. We are a group of people coming together to support one another to be better in how we lead and how we treat our employees and in how we advance our careers. So we hope that you'll join us for that. Thank you, everybody. If anybody has any questions, you can drop them in the chat box. Now, tomorrow at 11, we'll be answering questions here at 11 a.m. So if you send a question in and we don't get to it today, we will certainly be able to wrap that up tomorrow. We are continuing to look at our schedule of events and live streams, and we may be moving one or two of the live streams to early evening hours to try to make it more convenient for people to join us for those streams. Right now, we have Lunch and Learn, which is on the first and third Tuesday of every month. We have every Wednesday, we have office hours. Every Thursday morning, we have Career Live. And then on Friday, we answer your questions. So if you have ideas for how we can help you become a better leader, how we can help you do a better job at communicating your value, do a better job at interviewing, doing a better job at managing your career, let us know. I mean, this is something you're helping us build. This is not John Self, who has had a lot of experience, making all the decisions. We look forward to your input. Thank you, everybody. We hope that you'll stay with us tomorrow and see you at 11 a.m.